name is Jo Rogers and I'm the CEO and founder of Neverstar Legal. Thank you for joining us again for our SME series, The Laws of Business and the Business of Law. How much things have changed in the last couple of weeks. Jez Ray, welcome. You are here. Thank you so much for joining us. Jez is here to talk to us about the changes that have occurred in speaking. So Jez, like we used to doing business development, we're used to speaking to people in person, you know, the handshakes, the eye contact. Things have changed so much over the last few weeks. He's now coaching people how to do that via Zoom, how to connect with people in a meaningful way. And I'm really just going to leave it to him to tell us a little bit more about how you can better do that. Hopefully this will be beneficial for all of you. Jez, you used to be a bank manager. Why the change?
Well, yeah, we could spend the next 3 hours on that. Yes, yeah. So that was due to changes in NatWest and RBS back in the 90s. Huge changes that changed people's lives dramatically. But you hit the nail on the head actually in that intro. Thank you. Which is, you and I have got decades of experience. Of course, for you, less decades than me. But
Thanks.
decades of experience of greeting people. I mean, when we meet people in the room, in the old days, there's a mental checklist, isn't there? You prepare, check. You get your checklist, check. You smile, check. You give them a handshake as they walk in the room, check. It's just so automatic. That entire structure at the moment has just vanished. So decades of professional training. When I spent a quarter of a century in the bank, used to go on courses a week long on how to build a relationship with clients. So by the time I got to looking after high net worth back in the 1990s, quite a long time ago, it was based on decades of training. For most of us, that has just gone overnight. How do you recreate that on screen? And perhaps just as importantly, what are the risks, the dangers of damaging a relationship in a second because of the way you appear on screen?
Good thing that you said that, because just before our talk, I was like, oh, I forgot I'm wearing a tracksuit. Time to change for the exact reason that you just said. You know, tracksuit. I mean, I'm quite happy wearing the tracksuit in an interview. So tell me, all right, so that's your background. Tell me a little bit about your journey into this type of work. I mean, Zoom is relatively new. What are the sorts of things that you're telling people to do nowadays?
Well, fortunately, in my work, I've been using Zoom last year anyway. So the corporate and commercial workshops was a day in the room followed by 6 months of Teams Zoom calls. So It's part of my mix. I'm used to doing it, and I'm very fortunate in lockdown. Have all the kit to hand to make it work. But the change, it's often fundamental. So if we did a full day or even a 2-day workshop, we could get really, really deep into storytelling techniques, scripting techniques. But the fundamentals are just so crucial. So here's one right now. I am looking at you. Yeah, you're looking at you, looking at me. What am I looking at? The risk on screen, and you've probably seen so many people do this, is actually they're checking something while they're doing it, or even look at, just sitting here, maybe in their chair, but looking at the faces because you want that interaction. Now, I'm deliberately staying looking down because I've now broken what in the room is our contact, which is eye to eye. And that is perfectly natural. If you are on screen, of course, you want to get feedback from the faces around you. But just by doing that, you've now broken a fundamental contact that we need as human beings. So if you like, tip number 1, where is your camera? Just like when someone takes a snap on their mobile when you're out with friends, well, we can do that now, can't we? But when someone takes a snap and you look at the picture afterwards and there's a sense of disconnect, you realize it's because everyone was looking at the black bit of the screen of the camera rather than at the camera itself on the phone. And it's the same now. If we can get used to put Pareto's law into it, the 80% rule, if we can get used to looking at the camera 80% of the time and just flicking back now and then for the reaction, it can make such a huge difference. Just get a post-it note, draw a happy face, stick it by your camera, wherever that may be, job done.
It's so easy to say, but it's actually really hard to do. Like I'm looking at the camera now, but I can't see your reaction to what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'm used to speaking to audiences, and you gauge how they're feeling based on based on how they're reacting and the energy that's in the room. You can feel that energy in the room, but you can't feel that when you're on Zoom. So I'm looking at my camera, which is, I mean, you're over here, and I'm just looking at the camera, and I'm finding, particularly with, when I'm doing interviews, I have to look at the camera because otherwise it looks like I am talking to you like this.
Yeah.
But it's actually more difficult to keep attention. I actually find it much easier to keep attention when I'm looking at you, and I can have that interaction and direct feedback. So yeah, really difficult thing. So it's a great tip, putting a smiley face on there.
Yeah, and just get used to. Actually, that segues neatly into the feelings, which I'll come on to. But it also leads into, if you are using, let's say you're running sessions or doing presenting or running workshops. In the old days, you and I are very comfortable with going into a room, getting the feedback in the room, gauging reactions, taking the day based on how people are responding to things. That has also, for the moment, gone. And in my view, this way of communicating is going to be part of the mix going forward, no matter what happens, because it just makes commercial sense for organizations. So for another day, another topic, because there's a whole workshop on this, what you've got to do is actually put together the content, put together the script, put together the mix of how you're delivering, so that you have created those feelings. You've tested it, you've proved it, and you know simply by the way you're using your voice, or the images that you've used, or the structure that you've used for the workshop. You've got to be confident in the reaction that your audience are going to do. You've got to calculate it and project it rather than just stand back and say. But that's, we could spend hours on that. But to segue into the point you raised on feelings, here's another really simple one. You know, and I know, because we're doing it for decades, when you meet someone, you shake their hand and you give them this great big smile. That's what we do. Is that human beings? It's in our DNA. It's from when we were in caves hundreds of thousands of years ago. We gave a smile that says warm and open and friendly. How often have you got an 8 o'clock in the morning Zoom call, particularly now we're getting back to professional life, and actually you haven't spoken to anyone in the household apart from a grunt to the cat or the dog or your partner since 6 o'clock. You haven't had that normal interaction. And actually, if you've been rushing around, you've missed your coffee. What face have you got? What's your game face for your Zoom calls? Is it your beamy, smiley, I'm really friendly face? Or is it actually the 6:30 in the morning, I haven't had my coffee yet face? What's the instant reaction of your client on screen? I mean, and I'll give you a bonus point in here. When you smile, and anyone who's listening who does podcasts, vlogcasts, is used to recording or radio presenting will be aware that, or singing, my passion, when you smile, it lifts the soft palate at the back of your throat,
Right.
and it creates a warmer, more engaging tone as you are speaking. So the act of smiling has a twofold effect. It's that human interaction, and it creates a warmth in the sound of the voice that your audience or the person you're dealing with will pick up, even if they're not aware of it. It's one of the subtle things that our ears do. That warmth in the voice will be there. So again, if you've got your 6:30 in the morning, I haven't had my coffee face on, and that's the first thing your client sees, and this is the first voice they hear, you've just potentially damaged a good relationship.